validation by, just the facts, right? When we operate and we're harvesting
Yeah.
and, we weigh, we actually quantify. And, I've done this before, other people have done it before, but what what we don't see is like a university or or a government or anyone of authority
Yes.
to to actually validate and say to people, here is what we can do, this is possible. And I believe they don't do that because the multinational food corporations tell them don't
Yeah, yeah, they
they
get
tell
support from
them
them, you know. Who
don't
pay
I
you, you know, the money, right? You serve,
yeah,
you know, that person. Yeah.
I
yeah.
actually I have a thought on this. I may be wrong. Just give you my thoughts. I
Hmm.
think that the reason that the we are coming down to basic essentially corns, uh, uh, or soybean, those standard food. I think the one of the reason is it can very well be treated or processed or ultimately controlled by the
Yeah,
industrial means.
yeah, that's right.
Because yeah, so I look at the ADM, which is right beside us. Jing,
Right.
you may know ADM was right beside us. They are about 100 kilometers away from UIUC. Do you know that?
Hmm. Yeah,
ADM.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So I look at the way they do things. They very much look at the corn as a raw material for industry.
yeah,
So they
yeah.
extract fiber, they extract starch, they extract oil,
Alcohol.
they do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So they treat it so that way they can have a better control on the food source.
Yeah, exactly. And soya is being produced as
For
a
protein.
GMO, yeah, for
Yeah,
protein and as a GMO crop and all of that. And I think it's the same kind of thing, same kind of
yeah,
strategy.
sure.
Um, and it's not because these crops are super efficient.
Yes,
Many crops produce better proteins, more percentage. Like just leafy greens have
yes,
high protein
yeah,
content. Um,
yes,
what we were just talking about is why we think that food is scarce and why we imagine that it takes a huge area to feed a person, huge
yeah,
area. And it's beyond, our capacity. Well, if we have a garden in the backyard, we put in some tomato plants and some of this and that, and we look at that and we work on it for summer and we get enough out for a couple of meals. And we think, oh my God, it's really hard to produce food. But that's not how industry is producing food. They
yeah.
produce it with all kind of inputs and mechanization, and it's not so difficult really. And they get the productivity. But what is the productivity that we can verify? Now, for example, for Americans, people in the UK or wherever working imperial units, would say we said, well, 4 square meters probably is enough of a area. That's 400 square feet, right?
Hmm.
I'm sorry, 40. It's 40 square feet.
Hmm.
40 square feet of area to produce this food. Um, it seems like a garden. It seems like a small garden space. So I was researching and I found master growers of gardens. Like if you go out, say, in your neighborhood or in your city, there's a master grower somewhere. Some of these people are becoming like notable. They're being interviewed. They contribute to a food bank. So and they're operating kind of as a cooperative or a community service growing the food. And these people, they're like dedicated to producing food, for people who don't have any. And so I was looking at a couple of these people and some other resources. And I found like that it was very good number, like a rule of thumb, that if you have a garden and you're a master grower and you just have a season, right? Not a whole year, but like you're closing in the winter, maybe you're even closing in the summer if it's a really hot climate. But anyway, say 6 months or maybe 8 months of good production, that the number is 10 pounds per square foot. So per meter, that would be 100 pounds, which is about 50 kilograms, right? And it's 50 kilograms per meter. And I just said we could get 100 kilograms per meter. So I'm not exaggerating, because we're going to grow year round. We have multiple levels of crop. We have enriched atmosphere of carbon dioxide, so we get more yield and faster yields, and all of these kind of factors. So you know, the actual capacity to grow the food, and you can look at Canada. You can go to Statistics Canada for agricultural production, and they keep the data for greenhouse operators. The greenhouse operator can grow more than the 10 pounds per square foot, right? A gardener can produce 10 pounds per square foot, but that's per year, of course, right? But a greenhouse, the top level of those people producing 20 pounds per square foot, right? So this is 200 pounds per square meter. That is just about 100 kilograms, right? So when I say in our system, we can grow 100 kilograms per square meter, it's actually very doable. We might go over that amount.
So a person probably only need less than 10 square meter area.
The conclusion is, this is remarkable, right? Because the conclusion is, and if these are the facts, right, if we can get this validated, if this is the reality, then every family can grow their food in the footprint of their own house.
Sure.
Easily.
Yeah.
The attic, you know, the roof area is just getting hot, does nothing, right? Why not have food production?
Yeah.
Wasted.
Wasted
area.
Yeah,
so if every dwelling incorporates a modern food system, and that's what PyraPOD's doing, right? Then we don't have an issue. But you know, people, most of the people probably won't. So what we get is that, you know, if say 1 out of 20 really love this, they can produce the food for the others, right? So
that's very good. Richard, let me ask you a question. So the number you just gave me, 100 kilogram per square meter, was this a prediction, or was this was actually experimented result?
This has been validated. When you look at certain American companies right now producing with vertical growing, they have done better than the greenhouse productions, where the greenhouse gets 20 pounds per foot. These people get 30 and 40 pounds. This is why I'm saying, when we say that in the PyraPOD we can do, you know, more than 100, it's not you know, difficult. It's not a high target to go for. It's like very doable, right? I'm not exaggerating. You'll find a lot of in agriculture, you'll find sometimes modern, you know, the high technology. You'll find people that do exaggerate, you know, that they show they're going to produce like an enormous amount of food per area. Now, we don't need to do that, right? I mean, we don't need to exaggerate when it's that good. You know, if the reality, right, is that good, there's no reason to try to hype it up into something, you know, sort of that you might try to do it, but you can't. Now, you know, because the amount of sunlight is limited, right? I mean, you can't, there's so much photosynthesis you can do, and then that's that. You can't go past that. Anybody who says they're going into some, you know, hyper level of production, oh, and then they'll say, but they're using lamps, right? So getting more photonic energy from their lamps. but then you have to ask them, what did they pay? How did they get that energy for that light?
Yeah.
And because sunlight is free, so when you try to push it into even greater yield, there's a penalty. Why look for a penalty? You know, if you just work with nature, right? What we've been doing throughout our history is fighting nature. We're constantly battling with nature. If we just work with nature and accept what it can be given and find that it's plenty, right? It's plenty. We don't need to look for more. So it's sort of like greed, you know, it's kind of being greedy, trying to get more and seeing, oh, is it enough? You know, when it's more than enough. That's the problem.
Yeah. Great. Good.
So this is what we can demonstrate in the P4G17, the model that we're putting into production. We have 3 levels of production. We have a ground level with fish. Over the fish, we have plants that are shade plants, basically. You know, that's in the low.
What plants? What are plants? Shade plants. Okay.
Shade plants, yeah. And, you know, we can use lamps if we want to extend the daylight period. And, you know, when you're in the north, like say you're in Norway or something, you're going to use lamps in the winter. And that's okay. That's supplemental. And then on the top level, we have sun-loving crops that produce usually fruit. You know, we're harvesting different kinds of fruit, like, you know, cucumbers and peppers,
tomatoes. Yeah.
All the usual, you know, ones that people love. And then because we can grow all year round and we can have the climate, we could grow kiwi, we could grow avocados in the north. You know, we could grow almost anything. We could grow bananas inside, you know, and so that's what we want to be able to demonstrate, and then we can document it. And I think that at that point, if we can document it, then that's like a food revolution right there, right? Because we've.
By the way, in this design scheme, do you have to do you use the natural soil, or do you have to add topsoil?
Okay, yeah, very good question. You know, natural soil would be wonderful. Everyone should use natural soil, but here's the thing, it's not necessary. It is not necessary. Now, some people will say it can't be organic if you're actually not using soil. I say that it is possible to be organic in a water environment, right? Like happens with you know, water plants, right? Water plants that are naturally water plants. They grow and they take all the nutrients from the water.
Sure.
And we can do that. It's natural.
Does it limit your choice of shade plants and fruits? No,
not really. You can grow anything in water that you can grow in soil. Yeah. And when you grow in soil, you know, if you're going to grow in soil, you have to be aware that the soil contains disease.
Yeah.
So Aubrey, you should speak to this. You're actually more into growing than me.
Yeah, I grew up on the farm. Yeah. I grew up on the farm, and I thought you have to use land as soil, you know, only, or nothing else. Otherwise, you cannot grow anything. So, but I learned you know, I started trying the aquaponics, right? I find that you can actually use other medium, you know, instead of the soil, right? You know, first I tried the hydrotone, the puffed stone, right? It's a man-made thing, you know. You heat the rock to a very high temperature, and then you expand the rock and create, you know, create a porosity inside. But then I learned that you know, you can just use the natural sand, you know, the river sand, and then use the sand as the filter, and also to replace the soil, and you got lots of benefit because you don't have the Richard mentioned the disease, right? But you don't have the weed seed. You don't have to take any effort to remove any seed, the weed, because there's no weed. It's clean, right? You start with the washed sand, right? Clean sand. There's nothing in there, right? And then as a result, you don't have weed at all. Not So you plant the seed, you only end up having what you plant, right? I tried that for 2 years and really love it. And it can be automated. The whole process can be automated easily, with a timer. So I tested myself. It's aquaponic or sand ponics, right? Or some people call it IAVS. Integrated aquaculture system. I see that it's truly working, and it's really can be once you set up, you can just simply forget it. It just the whole system, the timer. Once you have a timer, the timer will control everything and make it happen. So it's I'm so happy with that system.
Yeah.
What about the algae problems?
Aha.
Does algae grow in the water?
Yeah, well, that could be an issue, but that will happen when when I don't have when I do the aquaponic outside, and then the surface of the fish water will have a lot of algae. Yeah, but then if I do it inside a greenhouse, then mainly not much happen, but the algae on the sand is not a problem. But then Richard can talk about the other issue. Even you have algae, and that's not a bad thing. Can be a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do look for an ecosystem.
Yeah.
In the in our growing system, and we do have the bacteria, so we need to take the organic waste product from the fish. We need to have the bacteria, to break it down,
That's right.
to deliver those natural nutrient colloids. So the bacteria, when they consume the organic material, they excrete these colloids, and these are the natural organic nutrient that you want to have, right, in any soil. So we have those same output, which is created by bacteria. So we need the bacterial, the algae, the plant, and the animal kingdoms, the 5 kingdoms of life, including the fungi, mushroom. We will grow a mushroom as well.
Sure. Here's a question, Richard. I think that I do like the idea we create the ecosystem which contains 5 or maybe 6 kingdoms, and they also interact.
Yeah.
The issue I see is that for all sustainable ecology, the system has to be optimized. Which means the amount of fish, the amount of the shaded plant, or even the amount of algae, the bacteria, has to be optimized. And in the nature, this is done by feedback system. We call the selection rules. If you have a little bit too more, they die the next year. So it's by some sort of feedback system. So how can we come up with a quick feedback system to have a sustainable, optimized ecosystem that can be presented, used by to normal people?
Right. Well, I think the practical idea here is to take advantage of these synergy, the natural synergy, and then we intervene. So human beings
Mm-hmm.
intervene to
Yeah.
create balance wherever the system is lacking, right?
Sure.
Is out of balance.
Yeah.
We can add, or we can remove, and we can study, and we can monitor, and then we can intervene with these kind of measures.
Sure.
So we're not looking for a perfect ecological balance,
Yeah.
but we're looking for the synergy that we can get.
Sure.
Sometimes we need to import the resource, and sometimes we'll have some kind of surplus that we'll have to, discharge. But those
Yeah.
will be natural, right? We won't have anything coming out of the system that is not, naturally absorbed in the outside, the environment, right? So
Yeah.
like for example, carbon dioxide. We do want to create this closed environment, and one of the reason for this is that what we talked about last night about we extracting the humidity. We're
Yeah. Yeah.
harvesting a great deal of fresh water, and
Yeah.
if we ventilate, we lose this. It goes just into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so we operate as a closed environment. And when we're doing that, an advantage can be we have elevated CO2. So now we have to put that in because it's not available naturally, right? We have to
Yeah.
make sure that we're monitoring the CO2 level, and we have CO2, bleeding, being put into continuously, especially through the daytime, of course, when photosynthesis is going,
Yeah.
and replacing. You know, I believe that the number is about quantitatively takes only 10 minutes to deplete the CO2 in the kind of environment that we have. Right.
That's possible.
So
Yeah.
we literally have to feed the plants with the CO2. I mean,
Yeah.
to keep it up at 1,000 parts per million or so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we have to
Sure.
look at where do we get this CO2? Of course, it's natural. One of the things is the capture of CO2. So we talk
Oh.
about carbon capture, and
Yeah.
then what do we do? Best is to reuse, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of sequestering,
Yeah.
but I think in a way it's better than sequester, because if you sequester, you've done nothing with the value of that CO2.
Yeah.
And if we put it into the contained atmosphere, then it doesn't get away, right? It doesn't get into the atmosphere, and we are able to produce our crop, at a higher rate of production.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so we put forward the PyraPODs, PyraFarm, and other, any of the other, SolaRoof technology systems would be a way of mitigating CO2, where you can capture the CO2 and then supply it, to these kind of growing systems.
Yeah. That's very good. I want to make a comment is that I think there's a more quantitative way to reach a fast optimization, and something we do in our material science is that for a very complicated material science, usually takes more than one element. The recipe usually includes several of them,
Right.
and for a complicated system like this, we don't always know what's the best optimized composition. So what we do is that we run some experiment, but we also get the result, get the data, and we run into right now they have some really nice mathematical tools. It's a self-learning tools.
Yep.
They call it artificial intelligence, but it's really a self-learning feedback system. So we run this, then match it with the experimental result, and we quickly found out, okay, here's the direction that you need to reduce the amount of A, increase the amount of C, and if you do a few steps, then you can reach the optimum pretty quick. So I'm thinking that maybe we can use this data managing, data analysis tools, and add some sensors like humidity, weight, temperature, maybe light, flux, and on the other side also weigh the product, plants or the fish. So if we manage these data well, I think this will provide a very powerful means to quickly find the balanced ecology. I just want to make that comment.
That's absolutely true, and I'd love to. You know what would be interesting too, once you run those models and you get those algorithms, and you could use also predictive models. So you have like the weather. You know, the weather could tell you how sunny will it be tomorrow. If you know how much sunlight, then you're going to know how much CO2. So, you know, you can kind of keep up with the system in real time instead of being reactive. You know, you're operating in real time and you're operating in a predictive mode. You know, can keep things very much, you know,
But by the way, the other thing quite interesting is that I know there are several different routes. I know there are at least 2 different routes to contain the CO2 within the plants. There are two major routes. One is called I forget the name, but I will check that. But I'm thinking that one of them is more potent than the other in terms of containing the CO2. So I'm thinking that in some areas, especially in some industry where they produce a lot of amount of CO2, this could be used as a way to combat the carbon footprints, to reduce the carbon footprints.
I think it's something called C4 and C3. There's 2
different... C4 and C3, yes.
2 different photosynthetic pathway, and I don't know, I can't remember now. I think which one is the best one, C4 maybe.
I think C4. I think C4 is a more effective way. Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, if we're really focused on, let's say, like a fuel crop, then we could choose plants that convert best at enriched atmosphere, and then that would be like the perfect machine to recover the CO2.
Yes.
You know, and then basically convert it back into a fuel.
Exactly. Yes.
And you may not need to burn the fuel, right? You can store it as well. So you're actually you do sequester, and it's a very it's a very good way, because it's a valuable way to sequester.
This is interesting because one of the things we are doing now is that we are participating in a big project, is that using the fuel instead of burning it in the combustion engine to generate electricity. We can convert the fuel directly to electricity. It's called the fuel cells. It's a fuel cell technology. So that way we may be able to complete the circle to improve the efficiency of the fuel.
Yes, exactly. You know, I'm really interested in this, and I think it's also interesting for two other sectors that need the fuel, is the aircraft and space, you know, programs. So I think it would be great to connect with you know, that, and that's like the high tech. Then, you know, you're really, you know, have the funding as well. Say, you know, let's you know, capture the CO2, you know, generating it from energy production, and put it into this crop, and then you can refine it into a valuable fuel.
Yes.
You know, it's like processing, right? You maybe you start with oil and coal, and you get that CO2, and you clean it, and you cycle it into this plant crop, and then you get a much more refined quality of fuel.
Yeah, Richard, there's another layer of importance of doing this, is that I actually worked on this fuel cell technology about 20 years ago. And one of the big drive of making a fuel cell is make it grid independent, so that you can generate electricity without the grid, which is very important. I think it's also enable people to go different places, a lot of applications. But the problem is that to be completely grid independent, you also need to have a fuel. Otherwise, you would be fuel dependent. So if we can complete this cycle by retaining the CO2 and use the energy of the sun to generate the fuels, then that will make it even more interesting, because then it will be completely independent, energy independent. You don't need the supply chain of the fuels either.
Right.
Yeah. So I would be very interested in going. So that's why I was reading some articles about the C3 and the C4, and if we can boost the C4, so that could be very interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the way, the fuel cell efficiency is very high.
50%.
50%, but that's just from the fuel to electricity.
Yeah,
If we can retain the heat during this, the isothermal chemical reactions, the efficiency is over 90%.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that if we can use that, let's say we are going to use the heat anyway for living, for plants, for many applications.
Yeah.
So that completes the cycle even more efficiently.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's so many wonderful, the synergies of creating these integrated systems. So basically, one of the big challenges that it's interdisciplinary. What we're doing.
Definitely.
It has to be interdisciplinary.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we're like the one of the themes then would be international interdisciplinary innovation. I like that. It's a good term, right? Yeah. So we gather the people who are willing, right? Who aren't, let's say, under the thumb of powerful agencies and corporations, to think freely, to work out solutions, and then acting as professional team to do the right thing.
I think I would be very interested to learn this from you. Is how to build a consortium, especially an international consortium, to advance this course. So I'll be very interested in learning this from you.
No. No, I don't have any expertise on that, really. So because that's what we're actually doing right now, right? We're doing it in real time, and this. This has been a process of people reaching out to other people and gathering, a team together. And yes, we need to connect, but not necessarily through some channel, of some oversight channel, because part of the dynamics of this is that these expert people are free actually to do what they want to do, right? Without the kind of view, of some other agency or organization. And because all these organizations are constrained. Look at the UN. UN Food Program has operated, I don't know, for 40 years or more in Africa, and the countries that they contributed the most to are now the poorest. So something is going very wrong, and you can't argue with the numbers. It's the reality. So, and I believe the reason why these have been so ineffective is that the as we said, the kind of plantation economy, colonial process of exploitation is not actually it's not recognized. In other words, a systemic problem, a systemic way of treating people, of exploiting people, that we need not continue to do, continues, because they have the authority. They've been in control. They still are in control. If you do voice a different position on, even if the people who are doing the exploiting now, actually they don't want to be exploited. They'll tell you, oh no, I don't want to, harm anybody. You say, but what you do is harming.
Yes.
So then how do we get people to say, stop doing this, which is harmful? We didn't know it was so harmful before, but over the decades, with modern knowledge, we can verify the truth. And the truth is like tobacco, right? We didn't know how harmful it was, and then we learned how, it's really killing people. So
Yeah.
this is what we have to say about many things. We can say it about fossil energy like air pollution. We can say it about many different things. We have to be honest.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think that the one of the most effective way is let's have some demos. Let's show so so I'll be very much interested in hearing that uh, how can we put these some of the ideas into reality, into something that we can show. By the way, we just talked to a friend uh, who may be we can lend some 50 acres of farmland just around Shanghai area. Yeah. Zhang Jun,
Huh?
the Chinese mo is the same as is the same as acre, Zhang Jun?
Acre. No, the Chinese moo is smaller,
Hello?
much smaller.
Zhang Jun not here.
Yeah.
Something
Oh,
like a 50 acre of land. We can land
50 Chinese acre.
yeah 50 China 50亩地 yeah
Okay, that's probably 10 acres.
10
You
okay
Okay.
10 acres okay 10 acres, but there should be plenty for us
Oh yeah,
to
that's
build
plenty.
some demos models. Yeah, so I'd be very interested, Richard and Zhang Jun, is that
Yeah.
whether we can do something.
Sure.
Well, PyraPOD as a business, we have a maybe a kind of a different business model, and so like working with open source technologies so that we can create a community of people that are equally strong, knowledgeable with the technology. So maybe PyraPOD can help to create a consultative research hub in Shanghai there at that property, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can contribute our know-how, like PyraPOD, structurally,
Yeah.
the cover material, the get it operational, the dynamics of the climate control, and it all has to be validated empirically because it's all novel, right? The novelty
Yes.
is rather extreme. It's kind of strange, right, to say after 40 years that I've been doing this. I mean, really competently. Before that, I was even doing it, but that they're still lacking this technology in operation in the world.
Yeah.
So it's that's the first thing. We can correct that problem. All we need to do is build these like the P4G17. It's in production, so
Yeah.
that's the fastest way to get the
Yeah, I very much support this, Richard, is that if we can so build sort of like an open lab, so we can put these the ideas, and you have a lot of experience with it. Maybe I can add a few some of the ideas to this, and let's put this something that can be demonstratable, that can show, then let it operate. And with that, I think we can draw interest either from members or maybe from other contributors in different areas. So that's the way I can see that it can mushroom. So we basically build a sort of a seed, and then if it's organically working, operating, then we can let it mushroom, let it multiply.
Yes. Well, this is the process I think Aubrey's begun, and connecting, in China, and then
Yes.
we're working internationally as well.
Yeah.
And people who want to, concurrently contribute and
Sure.
You have tuna?
and
Yeah.
like look at the data so it can be an example. Yeah, open data, open science.
Yes.
Because we've global
Oh, I think it's
emergency. Most
salmon.
people
My
agree.
bad.
Yeah,
So
sure. I,
it's
Wait, actually, I don't know.
yeah.
What
yeah,
fish is
be
Yeah.
that?
I
wonderful.
think. Yeah. I think there will be.
Yeah, the same.
It will generate interest
Actually,
and
sushi.
generate the supporting force from different grounds. I
Yeah.
think there's a one group of people is the people living in Shanghai, living in the metropolitan areas. So they would love to do
I don't think
some
Canton
agricultural work.
exists.
So we
Yeah.
can let them participate and pick
Mhm.
their own fruit and vegetables. So
Sure.
that's one group of people.
Yeah.
Another group, as you said, there I have a lot of friends who are professors, researchers at the institute. So they love to put their hands on some of the new technology, and maybe they can participate by getting some of the research work in their
Yeah,
lab and then
tuna
bring
will be
back to
fine.
this to the
I think.
PyraPODs.
Will it
So
Yeah.
that's
crumble
another
like
group
that?
of people. But I
Yeah.
also like your idea is that we can set up a web page that we can update the data openly to
Yeah.
yeah, and let the people who are familiar with science or with the data and let them to contribute to work on
Mm.
those data and give us
Mhm.
feedback and to
Mhm.
improve the system. But I do think that with this a real system going, and we can get a real support to
Mm.
propel the development.
That's great. That's just wonderful. That would be a dream.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
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 Good. Mm-hmm.
So where do we start? We should we started with one system.
Aubrey was telling me you're already jumping in. I understand you're already kind of wanting to get involved with PyraPOD. That's wonderful. And of course, it takes some money, to do anything, to do things. And so locally, you could kind of crowdfund, put together, a budget for that, empirical local project, and then we'll deliver from PyraPOD, manufacturing, that we have it, started. We've started this production,
Yeah.
and maybe you and others can help us in our efforts
You
to
more
commercialize as
independent
well.
people.
Yeah. And also the small version, right, for demo, but the large version, which is the Para Farm. And
Mhm.
actually, I'm still in the process of looking for a manufacturer, because
Yeah.
looks like the manufacturer in Shanghai for the Parapod, the smaller version, I probably they can only work on that, you know. But the bigger one, I want another party, right? Who is more productive, more I mean professional. I mean, or capable to work on the larger version, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, even though it's a large structure, but it's easier to build, so
Mm-hmm.
which is good, right? Which,
Yeah.
yeah, nice. We try to make it simple, easy to build,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're also looking for someone as a mature science, right? A scientist as you are. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking for even to create the fabric. If the market doesn't have it, right, then we can right we can
Yeah.
make our own fabric, and it's yeah, and I think it's we can use it and everybody else can use it, right? So it's a huge, yeah, huge
Sure.
market for
Sure.
that.
Aubrey,
Yeah.
the big system or the small system, do you have all the design, all the drawings?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, if you don't mind, or let's have it covered with NDA, I can take a look at it and let our production team take a look at it too, to
Sure.
see how much we can handle, how much we can handle it.
Yeah. Okay. I can give you the probably the 3D, right?
Sure.
3D file, and then yeah,
SolidWork,
SketchUp.
SketchUp. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
SketchUp file. That because
Hmm.
that's our designer is using.
Sure. Yeah.
I think he can. I'm sure he can work with that, right?
Sure.
And then we'll start from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Let me take a look at it. Yeah.
sure.
But on the other side, the other aspect of the project is the compound membranes, which I'm very interested
Yeah.
in this.
Oh yeah, indeed. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hmm.
yes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that thing we can do that separately. I would be very interested in take over that project. Let's
oh yeah, for
have some
sure.
demos. Yeah,
Yeah,
have some demos.
yeah,
I think that would be
yeah.
the interesting about that is that it is like Isha said, it's very interdisciplinary
Yes.
because both organic, inorganic,
Yeah,
bioengineering, all sorts
yeah.
of things come, yeah,
Sure.
compiled into one.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Good.
Very good.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
all right,
Well,
good.
well.
Is our time up?
Yeah. I scheduled for 2 hours. We still have 20 minutes, but that's okay. At almost 9 o'clock. For Richard, maybe he need
Well, let
rest.
me ask. Does Faye have any questions this evening? And we
Yeah.
haven't involved her very much in the call yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful that you get a chance to get the overview of everything. And also, I was also very interested to learn firsthand from your talking about the whole picture of food industry and the new ideas, how to generate um, this more natural way of growing food and also natural way of living. I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Not only a good idea, it's actually natural, but it's kind of revolutionary
Yes.
to our world. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's wonderful, and I was really praying over this before I got to know PyraPOD, the whole regime.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So it's so wonderful that God had prepared you for 40 years in doing this,
Yeah.
and also with other people have been contributing to this project. This is so wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yes, it is.
Um, and I think it's such a good opportunity for us to join in and also learn so much wealthy knowledge in this area. So I'm looking forward to this. The only thing I want to comment about the collaboration and also the further um, development in China, it's structure-wise, it's not that uh, freelance style in this country. Um, so we have to adapt to the system. We have been struggling in China for 10 years in doing some like my husband, he's trying to do some innovative research, but actually it's not the right atmosphere. Just like what you said, the right atmosphere for the plant um, to grow. It's also not very natural atmosphere for innovative ideas to grow over here. So it's a struggle. So we will see how we have to adapt to the system and also preserve certain element of freestyle in this project.
Yeah, but things could be a little bit different because what I have been doing mainly serve the industry in China, but in this case, the
Yeah.
market, the beneficiaries are all over the world. So
That's right.
our innovation, our creative work can 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 go outside the Chinese market. So I think
That's
there may
right.
be some difference this time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is different. Yeah. Yeah, and also Richard has been very generative, very yeah, contributing, because we make it open source, even though we have 6 patents on it, but it's open source, meaning anyone who want to validate, right? Who say, oh, will it work, and they can use it themselves. But commercialization, it's a different story, right? But as we want people to validate, right? So we even we want people to, because it's a good thing, right? We want the whole world to embrace, to take advantage, of this invention, right? So and I think this is the time, right? So yeah, we encourage, right, research, whoever, it's a bubble tech, and it's also a way to learn from nature and work with nature, right? So it's not a product, it's also a way of thinking, right? To change the mind of the whole humanity, right? So that each one can be free, right? we don't we don't need to be slave of anyone, right? We can be the master of ourselves. That's how the Lord, right? How God created us to be free, right? Yeah, and to have the freedom, and to freedom, especially in creating, right? To co-create new things, right? That work with nature, and so that's the thing, right? Yeah, and then we can have a better world, right? Better future, yeah, and also better present, presence, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I do like today's discussion. Because at the top level, I do believe each soul has to be free.
Yeah.
And what we are doing is that enable them, empower them to be free from authorities, from the rules.
Yeah.
So that aligns well with our belief, our philosophy.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Jun, Sang-Jun, quick question. So on the system, let's see if we can try to produce. How urgent is that project?
Well, as fast as you can. See,
okay.
I want to just, at your space, at your pace, right?
Okay.
But we love, it's not hard thing. It's a simple, simple design, right?
Sure.
But still, for DIY, it's a challenge, right? For DIY, there's a challenge, but for we want to do commercialization, right? So commercialization is also a challenge, because you cannot deliver a very shabby product, right? Very crude design, right? And then that's it. But so it's, I think it's in China it's very, you can, right? This can be done very quickly,
Yeah, I think that first of all, let me take a look at the drawing.
Sure.
I think the issue with China is that they are very quick, and some companies are doing a very good job.
Yeah.
The key words is that have them check.
That's right.
If you give them a loose tolerance, they will maximize the tolerance and go beyond.
Yeah.
So you have to put a very rigorous check on the choice of materials, the processing tolerance, all those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay, I'll send the file to Faye, right? And then just give me the email, so then I can send.
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe we should share both files, for the P4G17 as well, just to have have that feedback, on that.
That's right.
Because it's a small project, it's actually more complicated in some ways.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, that sounds strange, but it's like,
it's true.
Build something that's just so big, for the backyard. As compared to something that's very large scale, it's a different type of challenge, right? Each one is
that's right.
Do you have a targeted market for each different system? Maybe
Oh, yeah.
one is more for a family, another one is from a community. Do you have a? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. For the smaller version, backyard version, I'm talking about the overseas, right? I'm talking about
Yeah.
the not China. China is different story because China, not a lot of people own a land. Not they don't even they have a house, but they don't own the land, right? So for
Yeah.
China, may be different, but I think for China, the large one will be very good, right, for farmers to use, right?
Farmers, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes.
the backyard, I think it's mainly for demonstration, right?
Yes.
But in Canada and US, overseas, we have the space, right? Everyone has a
Yep.
large yard, and then it's easy to put up, a PyraPOD, I mean, backyard version, so they can grow their own food, right?
Yeah.
But China, we have to, it probably depends on you guys to develop, like a, small,
Yes.
even smaller version, or whatever, a rooftop, version, whatever,
A balcony. A balcony.
yeah, a
Yeah.
balcony or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
Balcony
So
Yes. Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, yeah, you send the drawing of both of the system
Sure.
to us, because I'm also thinking that there is a trend for some, especially in Shanghai area.
Yeah.
There's a trend for office companies in office,
Oh yeah,
and they would
Yes.
like to have those kind of green product in their office
Yeah.
for many reasons.
Yeah.
So
or
I
the
think there's a
rooftop,
market.
the even for taller building, right? They have a flat
Yes.
rooftop, right?
Yeah, they have the whole rooftop.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Sure. Sure,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
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 Okay, good.
Great.